this evening? You want to react together? Huh?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you didn't say that, right? I understand where that's coming from. Okay, well, rather than just mix a lot of words and make it last any longer, we'll jump right into the first case this evening. Is everybody here that's going to deal with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, the first case this evening will be for the ZBA case 14-04, variance application seeking relief. Zoning article 2.3, 10.5 to allow for a 76.5 square foot sign pertaining to the Granite State Credit Union business to be located at 51 Tilton Road in the Regional Commercial District, R23, Lot 23. And this is, I believe, the old Nissan location. Not Nissan, Nissan location.
Yep.
That's close.
Very similar.
So, on that note,
Set,
I'll
okay.
turn it open to you. Does anybody need to disqualify themselves from this case at all for any reason? Yeah, now, speak, if so, speak now or further hold your peace.
Thank you, Mr.
Or
Chairman.
your say.
And board, for the record, I'm David Gross. I've been working with Granite State Credit Union to develop a ranch for them at 51 Tilton Road. Here tonight from the credit union, Karen LaPlume and Jody Ducharme. They're from the marketing department. We'll speak a little bit about the important signage for the credit union. Paul Tripp is Classic Signs, owner of Classic Signs. He'll be developing and installing the signs, and he did some of these schematic drawings that you see. I'm sure you're very familiar with the site. I wanted to go over briefly. I've got the site plan for the branch itself here. You can see we've got Route 140 up here. That's our driveway. It's a bank branch, credit union branch, so there will be a drive-through here, circle around the building and come back out. We've got the fireworks business over here, river behind us on two sides, and way over here is the hotel. What I marked and highlighted the sign location. You had a little 8.5 by 11 that showed it, but it didn't, I think, give a perspective of the whole site of where we want to put the pylon sign in this upper corner. And I also indicated, showed some dimensions from the center of Route 140 to our property line, which is 75 feet, and also to the front of the building, which is 155 feet from the center of the road. The two reasons why the sign is back is, one, Route 140 has a 150-foot right-of-way, which is somewhat unusually wide for a road. And that's what keeps the sign back at least 80 feet from the center of the road. And then Tilton ordinances have a 30-foot front yard setback with no paving and building, so that pushed the whole building back. And the reason I'm showing where the building is we are going to have signage on the building, and we have a drawing for you of that, but to let you know that so far back it's not going to really be effective from the road. The first drawing, and Joe, you're looking at it, it's just the sign itself that we're proposing. It's 76.5 square feet, where 40 is allowed. We're not looking for a variance for height, so it would be 20 feet in height from grade. And he did a night scene just to indicate that it'll be internally lit like most typical pylon signs. It doesn't throw light off the property, but obviously you can see that at night. Next page, if you have in your file, what Paul put together was to scale various signs that are right on Route 140 that are either direct abutters or close by. We're showing the Granite State Credit Union sign, 75 square feet, 20 feet tall. The Hilton Express is also 20 feet tall, which is probably under ordinance allowed, but it's a larger sign. It goes around 52 and a half square feet. This part, Code Administration didn't count, obviously that would be substantial. Our butter fireworks sign, they're close to, maybe not exact because I couldn't get up on a ladder, but I measured the base. Close to the 40 square feet allowed, but the height is almost 40, so they must have been in here for a variance at some point for big KFC sign that nobody misses. That's approximately 96 square feet, 30 feet in height. So this is what is on the street for the route that we're on. And we just wanted to show what we're asking compared to what's there already. Any questions at this point? Okay. There's other pages in there, but the other page I wanted to point out is it shows the front elevation of the building. That's the roads here. We're talking about this elevation from the street. And that's a proposed sign that Paul came up with Karen and Jody for the building. And the thinking was the credit union didn't want to oversize the sign on the building, but they wanted to look for relief and get a little more identification on the freestanding sign that's closer to the road, it's more visible. What we're allowed by right under your zoning ordinances, they take the square footage of that facade, and 10% of that is what we could do for a sign. Well, that square footage is 1,400 square feet of all the flat surface here you see in the front. We could do a 140 square foot sign on this building. We wouldn't, I mean, it's garish, like the fireworks one next door. But we could do that. So we're giving up over 100 square feet to do a tasteful sign here, but we're asking the board, if possible, for relief to give us a little more square footage on our freestanding sign.
Seems reasonable.
Now, what I thought I'd do is just go through the questions, if that's okay with the board. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because, well, the public interest is the motoring public, and having a sign out front and a sign big enough to read is certainly in their better interest. So I don't see a conflict there with what we're asking for today. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the spirit of the ordinance, and this ordinance allows for and anticipates freestanding signs, signage for any business. And particularly being able to be seen from the road, whether to identify to get in there because you want to go to Grand State Credit Union or possible new customers. They're called members, but I'll call them customers for tonight's presentation. So freestanding signs are part of the spirit of the ordinance. The other thing that I wanted to point out, at one point we were looking at maybe doing a second tenant in this space, but we decided to not do that. The ordinance anticipates that there's going to be unique situations. If this building, if we had 2 tenants in here, we could increase that sign by 20 feet per. So if we had 3 tenants, we could have an 80 square foot sign. So I'm just pointing out the spirit of the ordinance shows that it anticipates unique situations and allows for larger signage. So I think we're in line with that. And again, interrupt me if you have any questions. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because credit union success is based in part on name recognition and identifying the business, obviously. And that's where Jody and Karen can maybe speak a little bit to the importance of a business and what signage means, and obviously clear, legible signage that people, potential new customers, but also existing members can identify. So ladies, they haven't eaten tonight yet, so we got to make it short.
Okay.
We always appreciate it.
Well, thank you for letting us come to you. Jody, I'm the marketing manager at Grand State Credit Union.
As well. So this is going to be what, our 8th branch in the state, and obviously we have built some brand recognition by our name, and the sign that's being proposed tonight is our typical sign that we put up at most of our branches. And really, as Dave said, it's just kind of building upon the brand recognition, and we just need the signage enough because it is a fairly busy roadway that we need it to be visible enough so that it's drawing in and we're building the business that we're looking to do by coming into this community.
And it is kind of a unique location for us. It's our first branch that's north of Concord. So we might have a greater presence south of Concord, so we're a little more well known because of the location and the signage that Dave just went over with our letters and stuff. We don't want to get lost in kind of a busy commercial zone. We have a challenge of making a successful launch and putting our roots down and investing our resources in the Tilton community, but educating people and letting them know that we're there. Also, as Karen notes, this is, we've done a lot of work with our other branch network in branding, brand development, and kind of creating a really nice aesthetic palette that isn't garish, it isn't overwhelming, and it's consistent across the board. So visibility and community outreach, just letting people know we're here is going to be really critical to the success of the launch. Any questions from a marketing
Not
standpoint?
really, this is really a relatively obvious thing that any business is going to ask for, so it's really not a complicated
Right.
situation. So I mean, you can go ahead and finish with where you're going with this whole thing, and then I'll turn it over to the board. We'll see if we can come up with anything that would put you on the spot.
That's good. I think we've really covered, it's pretty, as you say, it's pretty straightforward. We just really want to put our roots down in Tilton, and we've seen that in all the communities that we've been in. We really try to do the outreach and let people know that we're there.
Mhm. And just to let you know, I mean, I'm very much aware of the other signage that's over there. So I mean, this is nothing that we wouldn't expect pretty much any business to develop over there. And although our audience is a rather conservative situation for a major business, if you will, to try and limit it to that amount is difficult to say the least, because you've got to operate with some signage of significance. On that note, I would say I'd open it up to the board. Come up with any questions or anything that you're concerned about?
I'm gonna run through the rest of them, these girls are gonna.
Oh, okay, that's right, that's the
Yeah.
third one, yeah, okay, sure.
Got a little more BS.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I take it back. The board, stand by.
Number 4, if the variance were granted, the values of surrounding properties would not be diminished because, well, the surrounding properties are all commercially zoned, commercial uses. The Tilton's across the street, the last residential property on Route 140 there. But I don't see that devaluing their home because their home's going to be valued because someone commercial is going to be doing that. That'll be a business someday.
Someday.
Price is not here then. Unnecessary hardship, owning special condition of property distinguishes from others in the area, now the variance will result in unnecessary hardship because. It goes down to subparagraph I. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general and public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because. My response to this, the uniqueness, is it's not obviously unique to just this property, not the others around it, but to this area is that 150-foot right of way, which in a lot of my experience, it's usually a 100-foot right of way or even sometimes 90 on a road of this size. So that's pushing our sign further back, further back, further back. And that's again why we would be seeking, a physical reason why we would be seeking relief. I think Paul Tripp came up with some statistics just for when you're driving the road, the size of the lettering, it has to be
I'll just explain a little bit, I'll give this to you, I have a couple copies, but just the science behind how we determine what an appropriate size of a sign needs to be. So the top area here is what we refer to as the viewer reaction time. This is the time that's set by the DOT, which is the time that a motorist needs to be able to view an object and react appropriately in a safe manner. So it really is geared more to safety than it is to the signage, although of course the signage is the important component to it. So the DOT has determined that we need 10 seconds in order for someone to negotiate a turn appropriately. You know, if there's someone tailgating you or on the back of, you know, this kind of thing, to go slow down and make the turn that you need to. So the speed of travel on that road is 35, which you folks live in town. Is, how many of you know that it's 35? No, it's at least 35, right?
I know it's 35.
We'll just refer to
Yeah,
it.
35.
We'll
You have
refer
to
to
go
it at
from 55
least.
to 35,
Yeah, right.
and like that.
Okay,
So-
we'll call it at least 35, okay.
Yeah.
So at the low number of 35 miles an hour, you are traveling 51 feet per second. Mathematical formula, that's a no-brainer, it's 51 feet per second. The minimum viewer reaction distance of 10 seconds is 510 feet. It's 10 times 51. So the minimum distance is 510 feet. So what does that tell us? Well, what we tell us is it helps our industry determine, well, how large of a letter do people we need to make on a sign in order for people to be able to see it and read it. Well, the letter height on Granite State Credit Union is 13.3 inches, which you see in your drawings. And that viewer reaction time of that is 37 feet per inch. So I can see, I'm hoping I'm explaining this well to you, but I can see at 13, for every 1 inch of letter height, I can see that for 37 feet. I'm not saying this very well.
I know what you
Okay.
mean.
You know what I mean,
Yeah, I know where
okay.
you're going.
Like the letters on that thing, on there are 3 inches, so I could see that from 31 feet away. Right. So that gives us a calculation of 492 feet. So you see the 492 is very close to the 510. You know, it's a nominal difference. So we determine a lot of those, the sign sizes and letter heights by these calculations. So we're right in line with, again, what we're going to refer to as the minimum, because it's 35 plus miles an hour in order to negotiate the turning distance and people will be able to, you know, go for safety. It would be different, of course, traveling, which you said 55 coming this way, or 35, you know, coming up this way. So that's a little bit of the science behind how it's going with those numbers.
One question,
Sure.
just for clarification, is this, you mentioned that this is gonna be lit at night.
Yes, it
It's
is.
not gonna do anything other than be lit, no flashing, no
That's
changing, and nothing's changing?
That's correct. And actually, the Granite State Credit Union has moved all their signage to LED lighting. So it's a low voltage, low wattage usage. You know, it's that green idea that everyone wants to move to, is be able to, you know, keep your wattage footprint down as much as possible. So the signage that we're building right now is all LED lighting.
Okay?
I can ask the ladies, I can't remember, do we put the sign, pylon sign, on the same as the parking lot sign, so it goes off at 11 o'clock or midnight or something? Because we have a photocell and then a timer that turns everything off. Do you recall?
I cannot give you an accurate answer
Okay.
on that.
There's a good chance it'll be going off at 11 o'clock anyway, just because by 12, there are a few people are going by this. And a lot of times we'll tie that into the parking lot, right? So they go, so it turns on.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify that all this science and everything that you just laid on is geared to the person who's actually searching for the credit union or just casually driving by. Is this somebody who intends to find the service credit union, but isn't quite sure where it is, but sees the sign in time to make the turn?
Oh, I see.
Is that
Yeah.
what we're doing here?
Well, yeah, that moves into motive, I guess, as far as what people are doing, which would be determined by the person who doesn't know that there's a credit union there, a member, say, and they're driving along and they're looking for something. So it's almost impossible to calculate that.
Yeah.
But from a safety standpoint, whether or not they're visually looking for it, like, I know there's a bank here and I'm looking for it. I'm a member and I'm looking for
Yeah,
my.
that's the guy
my
I'm talking
credit.
about. I'm
Yes,
looking for
exactly.
this credit union.
Tilton, this exit is a gateway to the Lakes region. So the members are gonna know that, oh, great, I have a branch right on the way, so yes, I may be looking for that. There's also an interesting formula for what they call the cone of view. So that is the area, if you're in your car and you're driving down, there's a certain cone that you can see. Anything outside of this cone is considered your peripheral view. So the calculations are using that cone of view, which is the area that's, you know, wide enough. Of course, the further away back the wider it gets, to a certain point where you can no longer see it because it's not readable according to these calculations. So, yeah, motive is very difficult. I understand, I appreciate that question, but it is a difficult one to.
Oh, yeah, I've tried to turn around so many times, I thought I'd ask you. Not everybody's that considerate when you're designing signs. Oops, I just passed it, I think that was it.
Yeah, exactly.
You should just do that
Thank
once,
you.
right? Then after that, you know.
No, I mean, Jody and Karen, they understand the idea. The SBA has determined the fourth major reason why businesses fail is lack of proper signage. Lack of proper signage can be identified as, you know, color, height, size, identification, proximity, all of those kind of things. So proper signage is a major component to the SBA when they're considering loans and doing these kind of things, why businesses fail. So they're experts in their field, and they understand these things, that proper signage is very, very important. You know, to that's why you have the KFC, where the drives, the KFCs and the Holiday Inns and everybody there, so that you recognize and you see that brand,
Yeah.
have that brand recognition.
Thank you.
Mhm. I assume the building's lit at night, right? That's
The
gonna be
building,
main.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically it's the drive-up canopy, because there'll be an ATM there, so you can be using it after hours, so the downlight's under the canopy, but we won't be spilling light, we'll be spilling heat.
Oh, no, I'm not getting, I'm just getting the fact normally the
Yeah,
bank
no.
is lit. But when it comes to the ATM, that kind of justifies the sign being lit all night because you don't know when someone will be.
Good
Right.
point.
Coming
They'll
up with the
probably do
idea.
that.
And that's a good point, that's what we pointed out on the sign, it is a drive-up ATM, so if someone is on the road looking for an ATM, it
Yeah.
is possible, it would be visible, that they can identify that, even if they don't recognize initially that we're granted state credit union. So,
Mhm.
Good point.
Any other questions for me?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, too, thank you very much.
I'm not going far.
Thank you. I've only got, my only last one is the proposed use is a reasonable one because several other businesses along Route 140 have been granted similar relief for larger signs as well as signs higher than the allowed 20 feet. So I think this is reasonable use considering this neighborhood. And that's all I have. I just want to, again, reiterate the hardship being the width of this right of way and how far the pylon signs back. I'm going to trade off, the credit union wants to go with a smaller, more tasteful sign on the building, 155 feet back, and we'd like a little relief if possible for the size of the pylons.
Okay, the board has nothing further?
No, that's
Right.
right.
There's no public to open it up to, so I guess we're back to the board and we're down to nitty-gritty here. I mean, from my opinion, the articles that you covered there, you covered them reasonably well, and I don't really have any problem at all with anything you said at all, as far as the application goes and the proposed use and why and how. It all seems to fit from what I'm familiar with, especially in that area.
Signs are very tastefully designed and
Yeah, we started just-
appropriate for the area.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I recommend approval.
Okay, you put that,
I move that we
if
approve.
you have nothing else. You move that we approve. You have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Have I forgot anything?
I don't even have any conditions or anything.
No.
No, I don't either. I
Fine,
think
this-
everything's
they've
right up
covered
on board.
everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Good, anybody left? You're good to go.
Thank
I
you
think
very
it's
much.
Thank
it's
you.
interesting that so many credit unions are popping up now, you know,
Yeah.
Service Credit Union down in Franklin.
They're very heavy.
I've been a member of a credit union through the Navy for many years. I love it. But I'm just wondering, you know, what's going on with credit unions versus banks? Yeah,
There was,
interesting.
the biggest difference is credit unions are member-owned, and
Member
people
owned.
value that, and that
Yeah.
our board of directors, they are all volunteers, they're not paid. So any profits that come in go back to the membership in the form of lower rates on loans, and, you know, it's very democratic. We have an annual meeting every year where members can come and vote, and you don't get that same level of involvement at a big bank, so. And I think the last few years, especially 2008 and on, and the bailouts and stuff, that really made an impression on folks, and
I
they've
think
taken
so,
it,
yeah.
they like to have some ownership in where their funds are, and their
Sure.
resources are, so.
Yeah, people are scared these days, you know, there's been so much media about, you could lose everything in the bank, you know, they're all in there, it's gonna go away.
And every morning you wake up and you don't know what your bank is gonna be named that day, and we're celebrating our 70th anniversary in 2015, that we approved New Hampshire Ties, so, you know.
We got a good location, no reason why it shouldn't be very successful.
We're super
Best of luck to you
excited.
guys.
Did you want to take this with you?
Yeah.
And the employees.
I didn't go on record, but I will.
Actually, my COO is already looking forward to that. He's like,
I
I'm
am.
going fishing
I
on
wanna
it.
Because I said part of it
Rookies,
was
you know?
small, so that we could get relief here. Yeah, so you're not gonna see a bigger
Good
sign.
trade-off.
Excellent, insert
Doesn't matter.
KFC.
Served
I
here.
love what you're allowed, but
And,
I love the way you've
no
done it.
alcohol,
I mean,
so you
it's
can't
great.
stay overnight.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Exactly.
See you again.
Yeah.
Well,
You guys go take a nap.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
Well, we
Thank
invite
you
you
all
all to
very
stop
much.
by and see our
Have a good
location
evening.
when we're open, so.
Good job, guys.
Thanks,
When
Doug.
do you want to open?
Thank you.
Later this year. This year? October, November.
Oh, cool.
So we invite you all to come down.
Yeah, please.
What did you
Check us
change
out.
names?
Send a notice.
We will.
We'll be doing a lot of community outreach.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, we appreciate it.
Take care.
Three different? Thank you.
Thank you.
My card is good.
Credit unions aren't, don't have the same regulations as banks, so it makes it easier for them to function.
Yes. Yeah, it's great.
Okay,
Okay, so we got some
We have-
business to take care
we have,
of.
yes, we have some minutes. Has everybody read the minutes?
Yes.
Other than myself, did anybody else find any
No, I
problems?
think, very good, wonderful job.
Thank you.
Especially with that conversation last time, you know, that,
Yeah.
so much conversation back and forth.
Yeah, did he cover that nicely?
Yeah. I was impressed.
Yes.
Yeah, you can actually
I
read
think
and
you do an
understand.
admirable job with the
Very
minutes.
legible.
Thank you.
How'd you want to do this?
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
It really
It
is.
sure was. Thank you. I'll move to approve the minutes of May 20th, 2014.
Second. One correction.
Yeah, I was corrected.
Yeah, well, it's just, you can pencil that one. I'll look for the copy that's in the office.
Sorry, you,
You-
Bob,
you
Mr. Brown moved, and
Georgia.
My wife wasn't here.
I thought maybe you were cross-dressing.
I did the same thing to Eric Pyra, so you're not being singled out.
The only thing is, has anybody?
No doubt somebody walked in the office just at that.
It's probably.
So we voted on that, that's all now.
I thought we just, we actually
Moved
voted.
and seconded.
I seconded, we haven't actually voted.
Yeah, on what?
Do your job here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good times, your first
Aye,
night.
yeah. Okay.
He's out of practice.
That
It's only
being
been a
said,
year and he's already rusty.
We've got a law lecture here that we don't know where it's going to be.
Oh, really?
It says location to be announced. However, it's only 2 weeks away, or really a week and a half away. No, a
Actually,
week
just a
away.
week,
I'm gonna
exactly,
say a week
yeah.
away.
I'll follow up on it
So-
tomorrow.
I don't know if anybody's interested. We kind of, for the most part, unless it's going to be local, we would need a little bit more notice than that, but
Yeah.
this something that they fax to you or
Came as an email,
as an email?
yeah, and I think I forwarded it around. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also said as soon as I know the location, I'll let you know, and that hasn't happened yet, so.
Because you still don't know.
I haven't been told, yeah.
Place.
The other thing is that
Yeah.
maybe they meant July 24th,
Yeah.
and that they had a lot of time.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, that came out kind of spur of the moment, and maybe it was just something, yeah, that could be.
It seems funny that they would do something, you know, so quick like that.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, not
What's
have,
it for?
The law elections, it's what we used
Land
to.
use
Some
statute
meeting coming
changes
up,
and
that's all
then
I understood.
notices of decisions, how to affect them, making effective
It's like the things we
decisions and notices.
used to go to over, well, Meredith was a lot of them, every fall, used to have 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
but according to Derry, they're not doing those anymore.
that's what I heard, I'm not certain, but yeah.
Was that like what they held here last year upstairs?
No, no.
It is the same person though, Dan Crean, I think, is
Yeah.
one of the
Dan
speakers,
Crean and,
yeah.
and Bernie Waugh, yeah, that's,
Those were put on by the local government center. They had Concord, pretty much, most of them.
well, they're calling this municipal law lecture, and that's what they used to call the ones in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know, you just have to check on it.
Yeah,
and
as soon as I find anything out,
let
I'll
me
let you
know
know, yeah.
what it's all about.
All right.
We'll move from there. So that's the case, and
Very nice.
it's
Well done.
6:35.
Wow.
Motion to adjourn. Unless
Something
somebody
good?
has something else they want to cover?
Hmm.
No, you,
Good.
everybody wants to get out of here, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
hungry.
so I'll just say, Brown moved and Hellwig seconded
Yeah.
adjourning, is that what I thought I heard? I wasn't all voted?
No, we voted.
Sorry,
Everybody's
That's okay.
in, everybody's in favor.
Appreciate your
We'll move
work.
on.
You couldn't hear my nod?
Yes,
You couldn't hear my nod?
Very nice.
Okay,
Joe.
if you want to
Good job.
shut these things
Okay.
off, we'll
absolutely.
clean this thing up and we'll.
All right. There's one down.